There is a particular kind of vertigo that happens not when we look down from a high balcony, but when we look forward into a world of endless and shimmering choice. We are the first generation of humans to live in a reality where the correct path is no longer handed to us by the simple geography of our birth, or the ironclad traditions of our ancestors, or the brutal necessity of physical survival. In the past, the questions were decided for us by the land we lived on and the names we inherited. Today, those anchors have been lifted, and we are floating in an ocean where every direction looks the same. Instead of a single, well-worn path, we are standing in a corridor with 1,000 doors, each one polished and inviting. We are told, with a gentle and persistent smile from the world, that we can choose any of them. We are told that our freedom is measured by the sheer number of these doors, and that our ultimate happiness is hidden behind the right one. But for the overthinker, this is not the liberation we were promised. It is a quiet, clinical, and deeply exhausting kind of imprisonment. It is a room where the walls are made of possibilities, and the air is thick with the pressure to not waste them. You know the feeling well. It is the 30 minutes spent scrolling through a streaming service, watching the trailers and reading the summaries, only to turn the television off without watching a single thing. You do this because the weight of choosing the wrong story became heavier than the desire to be entertained. It is the way you look at a menu in a quiet restaurant and feel a rising sense of panic, not because you are hungry, but because you are afraid of the opportunity cost of a bad meal. You are afraid that by choosing one thing, you are failing to have the optimal experience of the other. It is the search for the perfect in a world that is fundamentally and beautifully suboptimal. Tonight, we are not going to talk about how to choose better. We are not going to talk about decision matrices or productivity hacks for efficiency. We're just going to look at the geometry of this paralysis. We're going to acknowledge the weight of the could have been and the quiet exhaustion of the maybe. Take a long, slow breath. Close the mental tabs that have been running in the background of your mind all day. For the next 11 minutes, there is no choice to be made. You are not a decision maker. You are just here in the stillness. For most of human history, choices were narrow and deep. If your father was a blacksmith, you were a blacksmith. If you were born in a quiet valley, you lived, loved, and died in that valley. There was a weight to that life, certainly, a lack of agency that we, with our modern sensibilities, find horrifying. But there was also a profound psychological safety in that narrowness. The boundaries were clear. The wrong turn was almost impossible to make because there was only one road. You did not have to find yourself because you were already placed. Today, we carry the burden of the unlived life as if it were a physical weight on our shoulders. Because we are told we can be anything, the fact that we are only this specific person, in this specific chair, with this specific set of flaws, feels like a catastrophic mistake. Every choice we make feels like a wrong turn, not because the path we chose is bad, but because it isn't the best one. We are haunted by the version of ourselves that made a different decision 5 years ago. We imagine that version of us is happier, thinner, and more at peace. Psychologically, this is the maximizer's trap. We are no longer satisficers, those fortunate people who are happy when a choice meets a simple baseline of being good enough. Instead, we have become maximizers. We want the best career that provides the most meaning and the most income. We want the best partner who is both a lover and a best friend and a psychological mirror. We want the best version of our own bodies, sculpted by the best routines. But best is a phantom. It is a moving target that the digital world keeps just out of reach. When we overthink a choice, we are trying to find a way to choose without losing anything. We want the stability of the long term combined with the freedom of the short term. We want the excitement of the city and the peace of the country. However, the geometry of life doesn't allow for such overlapping shapes. Every yes you utter is 1,000 no's to the rest of the universe. For the overthinker, those no's are not just discarded options. They are ghosts. They are the versions of yourself that you are killing every time you commit to a single path. The paralysis you feel isn't a lack of willpower. It is a form of mourning. You are mourning the versions of yourself that will never be born because you chose to be the person you are today. In the digital age, our choices are no longer private acts of the will. We don't just choose a hobby. We choose an aesthetic to present to the world. We don't just choose a vacation. We choose a narrative to be documented and consumed. We are performing our choices for an audience that is always watching, even if that audience is just a projection of our own social anxiety. We have become the marketing directors of our own existence, constantly checking the metrics of our happiness against the perceived happiness of others. This adds a layer of social debt to every decision we make. If I choose this career, what does it say about my values to my peers? If I move to this specific neighborhood, what does it say about my status? We are no longer choosing for our own internal experience. We are choosing for our external brand. This is the invisible mental load of the modern professional. You aren't just trying to live your life. You're trying to curate a life that looks like it was lived well. The overthinker knows, deep down, that there is a wide and echoing gap between the person on the screen and the person sitting in the chair. This gap is where the exhaustion lives. The performance is a high-energy state that never truly rests. It requires a constant monitoring of the self. We are always being patched and updated like software, always trying to look like we've solved the riddle of the optimal life. But the riddle itself is a lie manufactured to sell us more choices. The optimal life is a marketing term. It doesn't exist in the natural world. It is a digital projection that ignores the friction of being human. Nature is messy. Nature is profoundly inefficient. Nature makes wrong turns in its evolution all the time. A tree doesn't overthink which way to grow its branches. It just grows toward the available light. It doesn't worry if it would have been a better tree if it had leaned 2 inches to the left 10 years ago. It simply inhabits its own geometry. It is a real thing, existing in a real space and a real time. We have lost the ability to simply inhabit ours because we are too busy comparing our geometry to a perfect circle that exists only in our minds. We are trying to be the architects of our own perfection, while nature is simply trying to survive the afternoon. Think about the shape of a human life. When we are young, it feels like a wide, flat line of infinite potential. Everything is possible. The line can go anywhere. It feels like absolute freedom because no permanent marks have been made yet. You could be a doctor, a traveler, a parent, or a monk. The horizon is vast, and the possibilities are exhilarating. But as we age, and as we move into our 30s and 40s, the line begins to curve. Every choice we make, every commitment we honor, and every person we choose to love adds a bend to that line. Eventually, the line becomes a shape, and that shape has boundaries. It becomes a container. To the overthinker, this narrowing feels like a tragedy. We want to keep the line flat forever. We want to keep all the doors open because we think that as long as we don't choose, we remain limitless. We think that by not deciding, we are preserving our potential. But a life that is limitless is also formless. It is like water that is never poured into a vessel. It simply spreads out over a flat surface until it evaporates into nothingness. Without the no, there can be no yes. Without the boundary, there is no being. The choice paralysis you feel is your spirit trying to hold on to the infinite while your body is living in the finite. You're trying to be a cloud while life is asking you to be a stone. We have been taught by a loud, demanding culture to fear the narrowing. We are told to keep our options open and to never settle. But the narrowing is actually where the meaning lives. It is the specific that we love, not the general. We don't love the concept of humanity. We love a specific, flawed human being with a specific laugh and a specific smell. We don't love the concept of nature. We love the specific tree outside our window. We don't love the concept of art. We love a specific song that makes us feel seen in the dark. To have a meaningful life, you must be willing to be small. You must be willing to be specific. You must be willing to let the infinite potential die so that the actual reality can finally breathe. How do we live in a world of infinite choice without being crushed by the weight of it? How do we find our way through the corridor of 1,000 doors? We do it by coming back to the tactile. The overthinker lives almost entirely in the head, but the head is where the ghosts and the infinite possibilities live. The head is a place of shadows and what-ifs. The body is where the real lives. The body is the only part of you that is actually here. When you feel the vertigo of the infinite aisle, look at your feet. Look at the ground you are actually standing on. Feel the texture of the floor and the weight of your own breath. This is the core philosophy of parallel fold. It is the belief that the ordinary is enough. It is the belief that a well-made, simple, and narrow life is a masterpiece of its own kind. It is the realization that the life you have is not a consolation prize for the life you didn't get. It is the prize itself. You don't have to choose the best path out of the 1,000 doors. You just have to choose a path, any path, and then walk it with your eyes open and your heart present. The parallel version of you, the one who made the other choice and lives in the other city, is a ghost. You don't owe that ghost an explanation. You don't owe your potential anything. Your potential is a seed. It is meant to be spent, not saved. You only owe yourself the grace of being unfinished. You are a garden, not a factory. A garden doesn't have an optimal output. It has a season of growth and a season of decay. It has moments of blooming and long months of winter silence. Right now, you might be in a season of stillness. It is a season where the most important thing you can do is absolutely nothing at all. You are allowed to be here. You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to let the choices of the world swirl around you without letting them in. You are allowed to be ordinary. As we come to the end of this reflection, I want you to imagine all those open doors in your mind once more. I want you to see them for what they are. They aren't real opportunities. They are just light and shadow, designed to keep you from noticing the room you are currently in. They are distractions from the geometry of the now. The only door that is real is the one you are walking through right now. It doesn't matter if it's the best door or the optimal door. It is your door, and that makes it sacred. It is the only place where you can actually feel the air and hear the silence. It is the only place where you are truly alive. Take a long, deep breath. Let the maybe and the what if fade into the dark background. The world is incredibly loud, but this room is quiet. For the next few minutes, you don't have to be successful. You don't have to be decisive. You don't have to be anything other than a person in a chair. You are not a project to be completed. You are not a choice to be optimized. You are just a human being in a world that is spinning, and for right now, that is more than enough. The choice is already made by the fact of your existence. You are here, and being here is everything. The ghost can wait. The endless aisles can wait. For now, there is only the stillness. Sleep, if you can. Be still, if you can. Thank you for listening.